My Pi showed me the security footage of my wife's cheating. I decided to. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. We were married in 2000, had 2 kids, and lived a generally happy life of a working couple. She had a cheating episode right after our marriage, but we had reconciled and moved on. A few years ago, her interest in our relationship started tapering down. Whenever I brought it up, she'd attribute it to her work and the responsibilities of the kids. She'd shower some extra attention for a few days and we'd move on. The D-Day was Valentine's Day in 2020. We had planned to cook together at home. When I returned home from work that day, she wasn't there. I checked her location on Find My on iPhone and she was at her favorite restaurant. She returned home drunk later and passed out. I checked her phone and found messages between her and the AP. We had shared our respective passcodes with one another. However, she had been very diligent about physically guarding her phone and deleting all their communications right away. But she missed the last few on account of being drunk. Also, it was the first time in years she left her phone unattended. Otherwise, it went everywhere with her, even the shower. She had been sleeping with her phone under the pillow for the past few years. I now had the confirmation of the affair and the identity of the AP who was, and still is, a colleague of hers. He's married too. I chose not to confront the WS right away. I had been developing a growing awareness that she was becoming a masterful and smooth liar. Anytime she needed to explain her whereabouts, she could come up with a perfectly plausible excuse at the spur of the moment. I wasn't expecting anything out of confronting her other than being buried with 1,000 lies, such as it being a harmless flirtation or just a quick one-time indiscretion. I needed to know the depth of her affair. I instinctively knew it pretty much at this point. But I wanted solid data. I hired a private investigator and put some security cameras outside my home to see who was coming and going. The Pi obtained the security footage at her favorite restaurant going back over a year. Many times, I was able to overhear her talking on her phone at home when she didn't think was around or within the earshot. The information came in through a fire hose. Their affair had been going on for 3.5 years at that point. WS and AP had been privately gloating about being able to keep it a secret from their respective spouses for this long. Their prevailing sentiment was that if their respective spouses hadn't discovered the truth, everything including the very affair had to be their own fault. More details kept coming. Her penchant for unprotected sex, her pregnancy by AP and abortion, their home visits during lunch hours for sex, phone sex when they couldn't meet, and dissing everyone around them. I was shocked by how thoroughly contemptuous she was towards even those of her friends who absolutely adored her. And she has such a planet-sized network of them. Except for her brother, parents, and 2 kids, this woman has nothing other than contempt towards every single human being. I've always known her to use superficial charm to get validation, companionship, get her way, or just influence friends to behave to her liking. I was still shell-shocked by discovering the real her, as my understanding of a narcissistic personality was very shallow at the time. The Pi gave me names of other affairs she'd had or was still carrying on. She also slept with her boss among others, as an example. Just when I thought it had to be all there was, little did I know that there was a plot twist in the offing. The communications between her and AP started referring to killing certain somebody by poisoning their food. She suddenly developed a recent penchant for making food for me, even though we had not been talking for weeks at this time. At the first reference of killing, I stopped consuming anything she cooked for me. I only ate the food intended for the whole family, and even then I wouldn't consume it if everyone else had already taken their share. The first reference to killing was so subtle that it was almost an animal instinct on my part to take such precautions. I felt I was being silly and paranoid. However, their subtlety soon went out of the window as their frustration mounted and their discussions descended into inflamed arguments. AP was urging her to kill me ASAP, and she was frustrated because, in her own words, how can I add poison to the whole food? I immediately canceled my life insurance. My mental health had been tapering down for a while and I was struggling to maintain my sanity. Nothing more was to be gained by staying the course. So, for the first time in months, I spoke to her. I told her that it was time to start planning for our divorce and that I knew about her in the AP. I gave her 4 to 5 quick examples of things that she couldn't believe in her wildest dreams that anyone other than AP and she could have possibly known. I concluded with the assertion that my decision for divorce was 100% final. Moments into the conversation, her eyes went wide and her jaw hit the floor. The whole speech took 2 minutes, and that was the end of a 20-year relationship. Prologue. It's been 22 months since the D-Day and 10 since the divorce was fully finalized. My daughter lives with me half the time and my son lives with my ex-wife full time. My son had discovered about their affair on his own as he had been to her work and seen them acting extremely familiar with each other. Post-divorce, he asked me if his hunch of the affair was true. I confirmed it but made sure not to add anything more. He spilled the beans about the affair to my daughter too. Child support is pretty punishing in the state I live in, and despite making a six-figure salary, I'm living on what's essentially poverty wages. I focus on physical and mental health, had 2 brief relationships since the divorce, and hope to land a long-term partner. Every morning I wake up and realize I'm alive and sane, my mind gets filled with serenity. I'm at peace with the world for the first time in ages. Here are some best comments. The evidence that you obtained might not be admissible in court, but your lawyer should have involved law enforcement as soon as you knew about the plot. They would have helped you in securing a warrant. Now the guy is complaining to be living on poverty wage where he could have gotten those guys in jail, gotten full custody, etc. Facepalm. This has to be fanfiction. Wow, so happy you are free, even if life circumstances are challenging, you are focused on the right things. I am 7 years post accidentally finding a text on ex's phone and eventually uncovering years of lying, cheating and essentially living a secret life while I played dutiful working supermom. After the worst of the trauma wore off, I had this overwhelming feeling, I was living my life and not a pawn in someone's web of lies. He stole 11 years of my life. But I got my future back. Keep moving forward, there's only good things ahead. My son only knows of one affair and nothing else. He's always been close to his mom and chose to stay with her post-divorce. In divorce court, teenagers get 100% say in this matter. I haven't told him about anything else as it might devastate him. Irrespective of her merits as a wife and partner, my ex-wife is a good mother. The evidence is not admissible in court. We don't live together anymore and I'm not in danger. My main concern is what kind of impact it might have on the kids if the murder plot, becomes a piece of public knowledge. As it is, the divorce has been very hard on kids. Please. I did consult a lawyer. I was told talking about killing someone is not a crime. Only if they're caught taking an action on it. Also, note what I said about its effect on the kids. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.